Greetings, my dear beloved children. As a follow-up to my previous message, I would like to give you some more tips concerning the ways you can convey true information about current events on Earth more quickly and efficiently. Time walks for you now, since it is becoming more and more difficult for the script writers and stage directors of the play named Pandemics to control the processes they launched. The truth about their deeds this way or another is penetrating the veil of lie they have surrounded themselves with. The situation in the world is getting so absurd that even people far from any knowledge about the world backstage start feeling there is falsity in the air. It shows itself in everything: words, actions, emotional heat, pie crust promises and threatening instructions. People are tired of being scared, so many of them are ready to hear the truth. But, unfortunately, my dear, whatever strange it may sound to you, there are not that many humans left on Earth now. For the last centuries your planet has literally been congested with reptiloids and clones who were forcing out the rightful inhabitants of Earth out of her. Why did it happen? First of all, because of numerous wars and revolutions that took away many pure human souls. In such perturbations, as a rule, capable to survive were those who could lie, bow and scrape, betray, who were striving for power and money, who could live at somebody else's expense, who were deprived of love and sympathy. It is creatures like this, reptiloids and representatives of other spiritually developing races, who gradually seized power in almost all the countries of the world. And if miraculously there happened to appear a human being, they did not manage to stay at the top for a long time. I am sure, my dear, each of you has a lot of your own examples of who is prospering in this world, with its spirituality running short, and you will be able to explain the reason why it happens. They are the very examples you should share so as to vividly show people the extent present-day political and economic systems have rotted through. Thus, step by step you can move on to the issue of the quarantine that has turned out to be the next link of the violence chain over human suppression of the freedom of their will and the freedom of traveling. And you should help people get rid of the fear of these soulless creatures and explain that it is fear that is their nourishment medium. But if the energies of high vibrations will take their place, such as self-respect and belief in oneself, humans will become invulnerable for them. You are likely to find a lot of real-world examples, my dear, of the different manners people behave under absolutely equal circumstances, and it is accounted for by the fact that their actions are imbued with energies of different vibrations corresponding to their level of conscience. The same happens to collective human conscience. Therefore, I ask you, my dear, please, work at it as often as possible, dissolving all low vibration programs in it. Today we will talk about the way you take the notion of revived conscience. We have already spoken a lot about the conscience of the fifth dimension man, but I see that for many of you it still remains theoretical and unachievable ideal. As you already know, it is mostly your still persisting habits you have been developing from incarnation to blame, and they got gradually compressed in your subconscious to make dense blocks. Therefore it is hard to immediately get rid of them. Each of you has your own individual habits, but there are some common ones, stereotyped reactions that are typical of collective human conscience. They are the ones to be spoken about today, since not having got rid of them it will be difficult to revive human conscience, which is your top priority task now. You have eventually come up to the cherished line separating your old life from the one you are so striving for. And since human conscience is the building material any society is created of, this time you should have absolutely different high vibration materials, while the only cement holding them together can become unconditional love. Now you are challenged with the task to live through the revolutionary period of disclosure of outrages on humanity committed by the ruling top, not becoming embittered yourselves, and to help others with this as well. I know, my dear, it is not easy at all to sustain love and light in your soul without any hatred to those who have been reveling in power over you for centuries and millennia, performing inhuman actions indeed. So now, I will offer you a very powerful practice that will help you cope with your emotions and adequately go through the retuning period of your conscience onto a new high vibration wave. We will call it All Triumphant Flame of Love. I would like you to take it just as a practice, not meditation, because it should become your everyday companion, and you should get it switched on in your conscience just as you turn on the lights clicking on the switch in your house. Well, each time you feel you are becoming overwhelmed with emotions and it is getting hard for you to control them, imagine your conscience as a burning facula. Some will have it just as bright fire, while others will see it as a scattering of light similar to Bengal ones. Activate your fantasy and create the image dear just to you. But this image, the all-triumphant flame of love, should convey the energies of vibrations high enough to dissolve not only your own negative emotions but low vibration energies of the people around you, lighting up enormous space and dissolving all the hatred, aggression and censure that will inevitably arise in relation to criminals and will be literally in the air. In other words, your facula is aimed at cleansing with its divine fire not only your conscience but collective human conscience as well. Let there remain only gratitude in your soul for the opportunity people got to see the true picture of what is happening, whatever horrible it may be. The main thing has occurred, everything concealed has become revealed, and humanity has seen the light. Yet, to learn this most important lesson in your life in an appropriate manner, you should gain not hatred or bitterness but love and light that will illuminate your way to a new life in the fifth dimension. Today we will start learning to control your life events in terms of energy. At present it is as important as ever, since the transition of Earth and the whole humanity into a new energy space is reaching its practical stage. All of you have already got a grounding in theory, but so as to live through this transformation period in an appropriate way, each of you will have to make certain efforts under the circumstances of the most severe confrontation of the dark and the light forces. Since in the grip of the dark there are all the levels of influence on man they make use of by means of their representatives embodied as humans, their position on Earth is quite firm. But the forces of light have you, and it is quite a lot, taking into consideration the new high vibration energies you have already learned to deal with for your own good and for the good of Earth and humanity in general. So now, you are facing the time of hand-to-hand fight with those who will tooth and nail try to pull you back to the third dimension world they are building on a new basis now in terms of energy, too. Influencing your conscience with low-frequency vibration waves through vaccines and chips they are implanting into human body by all the means available. So how can you avert such intervention into your conscience and physical body? The first thing you should do is to move your emphasis from the negative aspect of the current events to the constructive one. The more you think about the way to avoid vaccination and chipping, the more you will attract it to your energy space. Well, you already know quite well that it is your conscience and, consequently, your emotions and thoughts that create your reality. And believe me, my dear, it does not mean at all that you shy away from the challenge with your head in the sand. It means that you do not support this problem with your energy and do not promote its realization at the physical level. Of course, you can ask me, how should we convey to people the information about the harm of vaccination and chipping then? The best way is to do it indirectly, that is, not getting emotionally involved into the discussion of this sore subject, but give links for films and other materials that are becoming numerous on the internet now, and it is preferable to choose those of them that present information in a metered and calm manner with no aggressive judgment or author-own emotionally colored guesswork, but with undeniable facts and proofs being provided. And of course, my dear, do not forget about energy shield that is indispensable while you are still in the third dimension world. You should always be inside the energy cocoon of highest vibrations even at home, and do not forget to refresh if as often as possible so that your divine cover is always irreproachably pure and reliable. Well, let us go on talking how you can learn to create your reality in terms of energy. But before this, I would like to focus on the mechanism of your conscience interaction with energies that actually determine any action of yours. It is energy in this or that form that your conscience largely consists of, and depending on its vibration component, you find yourself in this or that condition, taking this or that action. Your conscience is sure not to be static, but it is a constantly changing energy substance. What do these changes depend on? On a variety of factors, both external and internal ones. The lower one vibration level and, consequently, one conscience level, the more one is exposed to the influence of external factors and the easier it is to control one. This fact is well known to the masters of your world, therefore their main aim is to keep human conscience within the bounds of third dimensionality where it is totally within their power. To some extent they manage to do this, the evidence of which can be seen all over the world now. The overwhelming majority of the population follows all the instructions of their government and local authorities, seeing only the things on the surface and believing the information conveyed by the mass media under their control. Why does this happen? Only because these people are at the same vibration wave with those guiding their conscience. At these vibration frequencies there are seemingly mutually exclusive energies as fear and power, obedience and disobedience, guilt and aggression. These are frequencies of the third chakra that is responsible for self-assertion, both in its positive and negative form, By the way, it can be compared with batteries that trigger the performance of a device due to heteropolar charge. This is duality in action, conflict of opposites. Whatever it is called, it is this heteropolarity that energy relations are based on in the third-dimension world. In other words, at one and the same energy frequency there occur multifaceted actions. Yet, since human conscience is not static, so as to keep it at the frequency required by the high and mighty, they have to turn to additional measures as intimidating, fining and punishment for disobedience. Due to the mass media in their grip, they maintain this low vibration corridor that human conscience is driven to. So, in my next message I will tell you how to break these energy barriers so as to become free and help others to do the same. Loving you endlessly. Father Absolute spoke to you.